I will never.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome to Red Salad Review.
Just like in the movies.
We are back, and it is another week. Who's whistling?
That was a door hinge.
Is that our theme song?
Yes, the whistling specter.
I was looking for a ghost.
That whistle's a modified theme from Gunsmoke. It's close, but just different enough where we won't get sued.
More like Gerat, it's salad review.
What?
He froze. You froze, and we heard half of what you said.
Gelatinous salad.
It's a salad review.
Which is more than I wanted to hear. Well, welcome back, Nate.
Of course.
This is week 2 with Nate. Are you enjoying it so far?
You know, other than like the Silence of the Lambs style basement torture, it seems to be kind of fun.
Good.
Well, you gotta admit, if nothing else,
What do you
it's
think
more
we gotta
fun
do
than
with
an open
regular
casket
Saturdays?
funeral.
Just keep putting the lotion on your skin. We'll be all right.
I don't know. What do you think I want to do after I get done talking to you?
I don't
Go
want
to an open casket funeral?
Have my open casket funeral.
No. All right. Well,
Just put the
Hey,
lotion
Newt.
in the fucking basket.
Did you ever see the thing? You know, the Elf on the Shelf. We were talking about this at work the other day. You know, the Elf on the
Yeah.
Shelf thing. And they did one with the thing with the basket. That whole
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, with the little dog.
Yeah, that's funny shit.
Ew.
All right. So, any news? We got some news, Nate. You said you had some news. Stop fucking smoking on my show. I'm gonna have to put a disclaimer up on the show. No smoking.
Corey Taylor says he's anti-drugs.
Who the fuck is Corey Taylor?
The
Next
warning
news.
kid from Stone Sour.
Slipknot.
We don't talk about
whatever.
Slipknot on this show.
I like Slipknot.
No, we don't talk about them on this show. Next.
To which
Actually-
the Iowa album replied, "Am I a joke to you?" I was gonna, I was gonna make it
Actually,
some
he
quick
made a
estimate
pretty
of-
valid point about it about a week ago. I have to say, in Nate's defense, he played me a song and it wasn't that bad. Made me think it might be worth revisiting. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think I played you either like Disaster Piece or Everything Ends. It's just you can feel the fucking hate coming off that album.
But Linkin Park can still lick my taint.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just want to go on record as
No, I
saying.
just told you the lyrics were into that.
Yeah.
What they have to do with Linkin
Which they-
Park, I have no idea.
No, I was just trying to stick
Well,
up
they were
for-
popular around the same time, leaders
right.
of modern metal or whatever.
Anyway,
Okay.
Corey Taylor says, "Not all great music is made while you're fucked up." To which the Iowa album replies, "Am I a joke to you?" Because everyone wants to come to an album, and that they still haven't topped it. So, yeah. There's new music from Agnostic Front. They put out a new album. I can't remember what it's
They did.
called. Go look it up. Casualties put out a new song. Blind Guardian put out a new album, which I think is more relevant to you, Wayne.
Yeah. It's really not a Blind Guardian album. It's a Blind Guardian with an orchestra. It's like a whole different thing.
It's all gay power metal to me, man.
You're fired.
I'm just glad he agrees.
Not
Unbelievable.
bad, it's just gay.
No,
You can't
it's
say that on
pretty
the show.
bad.
I'm not bigoted. I don't.
Well, no, he's
I
just
don't
saying
I don't
it's
give-
gay. He didn't say they were gay fags.
You
He
can't
just said
say
it was
that.
gay.
But you can't say that. It's 2019. You can't say that kind of
I'm
stuff.
too much of an anal cunt fan to just deny you.
I just don't give a fuck.
You're going to get us kicked off YouTube and iTunes and all that.
Oh, did I hurt their little feelings?
Yeah, you did.
You know, it'd be perfect
Fight
if
me,
they were
Google.
midgets.
I'll fight all of you.
That I could go, did I hurt your little feelings?
We have 134
Bet
YouTube
you,
subscribers.
bet you won't.
We have 134 YouTube subscribers, and now after these comments, we're
There's
gonna have
be-
4.
I was
and
just
it's gonna be
say,
me.
like 133.
I'll
It's gonna
take
be
I
that
don't think
back.
anyone else even watches it. It just goes through the feed and they scroll past it. Like, oh, these fucks again.
Speaking
Anyway.
of that, anybody who has subscribed to the show recently, thank you very much. We have jumped
Thank you.
ever
We love
since.
every single one of you.
Yes, we do. We have jumped some
So let me look at the comment
We have
section.
jumped up
I love that
some
one.
subscribers within the last few weeks because of the King Diamond things that I put up on YouTube for the new show, which will be on Friday, and for the Timo Tolkki website podcast that started this past weekend.
Yes, and perhaps we might bring you more fabulous prizes.
I do want to have some more prizes on the show. Who's knocking at the door? What was that?
Is that you, Santa Claus? I don't know.
Telegram.
Speedy mail delivery.
Okay,
No, wait.
Now that I'm back.
Candygram.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Speaking of King Diamond put out the first new music in, what is it, 9 years or something
I
stupid
thought it was
like
like
that?
12 years, I thought.
But
Ozzy was the first time in 9 years. I knew that.
Oh, so it's
And it
King
was
Diamond.
okay. It's like a really boring Sabbath song,
Yeah.
but it's not bad. King Diamonds was pretty good. Sepultura put out the first song. That sounds like a fucking Sepultura song.
Yes, you said that the
since,
other
like,
day.
Chaos CD.
You said that the other day on Facebook, and
It's
that
an
is,
actual thrash song.
that is not true. Obviously, you haven't been listening to anything Sepultura has put out within the last few years, so you have no idea what you're talking about, and you froze yet again. You have the worst connection that anyone has ever had on this show ever.
well, I was gonna say I have a piece of kind of news. I mean, it's really nothing new, but
Look at his face.
yeah. Death metal was
I'm
featured
gonna
on
have to hang out-
Jeopardy.
I'm gonna have to hang out like this for a couple minutes
Good.
because the internet's killing me.
Yeah,
What were
what
you
else?
saying?
You need a Wi-Fi extender.
Death metal was featured on Jeopardy the other
Yeah,
night.
that was cool. I was watching Jeopardy when that happened. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa! Obituary and Morbid Angel. I listened to that. I'm cool.
Obituary and Morbid.
Let's-
Oh man, do you think that was
Yeah.
kind of like a knock at what the hell's his name? What the hell's the guy's the host's
Alex
name?
Trebek?
Alex Trebek. Yeah, you think that's like a knock on him because he's
cancer.
got
No.
cancer? Yeah, you sure?
No.
They're not gonna knock him. He's like an American treasure. What are you talking about?
There might be some people that don't like him behind the scenes. I don't know. Out of
doubt
all the
that.
death
He's-
metal
Oh,
bands to
there's
pick.
some people out there dedicated to sending him back to the fifth dimension where he belongs. But as of yet, they have been unsuccessful.
What is it? Because he's shaved the mustache? I don't even know what it is. Anyway,
It don't bother me.
Downer headlining Grass Pop Festival in Belgium. So
Ooh.
first show since 2016. I like
Ooh.
Down. Down's pretty cool.
Down.
Give me some
Nah.
Heavy Set Anselmo.
No thanks.
You're not a fan of Philip Heavy Set Anselmo?
No.
Nah,
That's what
not
I-
really.
Pantera, I am, but not
I
of
love
his down
Pantera.
stuff.
I love Superjoint Ritual.
Nope, sucks.
Mhm.
It's terrible. It's garbage.
All right, first open metal show in Saudi Arabia happened, so there's progress for the world.
Oh,
Dome
thank
was
God.
beheaded. That's great.
That's good.
Nothing bad happened. And
That's a few weeks ago. They had a WWE went to Saudi Arabia, and they got.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah.
nothing more American is like in existence than WWE. So
No. But a lot of the wrestlers that played on that show, performed on that show, they got stuck there.
oh god,
They were stuck there for 24 hours. Meanwhile, Vince McMahon and some of the other wrestlers, like Hulk Hogan was there and Ric Flair, they all left.
kind of the devil. So
What's that?
Vince McMahon is kind of the devil. So
Yeah, he is.
based on superstition there, maybe.
Yeah.
Throwback to last week with talking pop punk and 90s punk, early 2000s. New Offspring album next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See what you did there.
I'm funny. I have made a comedy.
You can do your own podcast now.
Oh yeah. It'll be
You see-
it'll be the Megadeth to this podcast, Metallica.
He's only done 2
Last
shows,
house.
Greg, and he thinks he could do his own show now.
Oh
It's-
come on.
It's taken us a year, and we still haven't figured this shit out.
Yeah, I know. Hey, man, you can lead
Yeah,
a
but
jackass to
I
water,
can
but you
easily
can't
talk
make
to
him
a
drink
cokehead.
it.
What else you got? You got anything? Going back to the King Diamond thing, did you listen to the King Diamond song?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember quite what it sounds like though, because I'm getting it jumbled with the Attic I was listening to.
Oh, that's another show. What about
It's another
you,
show.
Greg?
I like it. It's okay. You know, I mean, it's not his best. It sounds promising.
Yeah.
It's not quite ridiculous enough, you know? It's not quite melodramatic enough to be the King Diamond character behind it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a
It's not-
track that's like in the middle of the album.
I mean,
So-
yeah, it can't be all. It can't all be Grand Bomb and
No.
death, but doesn't all have to be.
No, I wish he did put out more like you said, like a welcome home type song.
Yeah.
But yeah,
'Cause
we'll
that's
see what
what I
happens.
love most outside of Merciful Fate for King Diamond is just all the ridiculous kind of shit he does.
Yeah. Yes. You make it sound like he's like a clown or something, and does like magic tricks on stage and things like that.
He kinda is, and he kinda does.
Yeah, it's like he paints. Act like he paints his face or something.
Came
Imagine he had
a
a whole-
long way from Patches the Dancing Clown, I'll tell you that.
Pennywise.
I imagine he had like a green wig on and a top hat.
Could you imagine if he had a top hat, but it was like one of the little ones that people wear?
When you're blue and you don't know where to go, you go where fashion steps, but not the real.
We should have Troy do that.
Yeah, that would be great. We do the whole Young Frankenstein routine with him.
I fucking love that movie. I consider that like canon to those old school Frankenstein movies. It's too good at what it does.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I figure I'll give it another try.
Welcome back. All right, what other news story you got there?
Professional podcast.
What are you reading now? Jesus Christ!
Granola bar.
Fucking granola bar.
Fuck you, I'm being healthy.
I thought he said Malamars. I was like, damn, I want a Malamar.
Yeah, I don't know. What else do you guys got?
As long as it's not an almond joy or something, you're all right.
I don't have anything, but I wish I had a Malamar.
It's a chewy granola bar, which means it has Dave Murray on the front of it.
I do have M&Ms though.
What does that mean?
I have M&Ms.
Have you never seen the picture of Dave Murray as the Quaker Oats man?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like,
No.
You never
It's
seen-
it's a patch. It's a patch.
really?
It
Is it really?
exists. Yeah.
That's great. Dave
yes, I
Murray
have
is the
It's
Quaker Oats
exactly
guy.
like the Quaker Oats guy.
You never seen that, Greg?
No.
I've seen that. That's hilarious.
It's like the funniest thing on the planet. Yeah, I want to get it on a patch. Like, it'll go well with my Tenacious D patch.
I gotta find that picture now and put it up on the screen here. All right. What other news you got?
I don't have any other news.
That's it? You done?
Yeah, I'm pretty much just bringing up topics now.
Oh, any other topics?
Well, there was that Dave Murray picture, but I mean, it's kind of spontaneous, you know.
You know, Nate.
Well, speaking of that Dave Murray picture, another good one I've seen lately that's slightly metal related is the one of Axl Rose and Mickey Rourke together, and it says, "Don't they look like an old lesbian couple going plant shopping at Lowe's?" And they totally do.
Oh, God.
That's too funny. There is another picture with
Chris Barnes with Bob Marley.
There's another picture with Axl Rose and what the hell's that guy's name? I can't remember his name, but they look exactly like Benny Hill. Did you see the side-by-side comparison between him and Axl Rose?
Benny Hill, the old British comedian?
Yeah, Benny Hill and Axl Rose. If you look at the
No.
two pictures, look it up online, and you'll see the two pictures together, and then you'll say, might be switched at birth, or they might
Who
be
got
brothers.
fatter? Who got fatter? Chevy Chase or Axl Rose?
Axl Rose. I haven't seen Chevy Chase in a long time, so I don't know.
Oh,
But
dude,
also,
he's like
also Chevy Chase is
Oh
very
no, that's kind of tough to say because Chevy Chase is a lot taller than him. So.
he's gotten rounder too, though.
Yeah.
Whereas Axl Rose is just beefed up. He looks like King Kong.
Although
Axl Rose has lost a lot of weight recently.
Yeah, however, no matter how much of a dick Chevy Chase ever is, I can't say I've ever seen him give as bad of a performance as I saw Axl Rose do with the 2001 Video Music Awards, where he looked like he was going to have a coronary trying to sing Welcome to the Jungle. He went to his knees, all right. And I didn't think he was going to get the fuck
Axl
back.
Rose
Up. I mean, he hit that scream, and then his voice just started fading and just silence, and he's bright red. I'm like, holy shit, I think he just died.
That's hilarious.
Gotta eat some new knees.
Well, Nathan, since this is your second episode with us, after the last episode, I didn't notice, but you are actually in a band.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about your band. Tell us a little bit about you. Let people know who you are.
July 17th, 2018 was last year. Right?
Oh. Yeah.
Currently checking the date. Yeah. Okay.
Is this when you were born? We don't want to go that far back.
No, I met my bass player at an Ex Mortis show, and nothing happened for let's see, 4 months. Then I found
That's why you always carry roofies.
Started songwriting. Shut Okay.
Anyway, so nothing happened for 4 months, and then you found a guitar player.
What the hell's he doing? He's trying to...
First guitar player. Who was this smoking hot Asian chick. And then she quit even after we found a drummer. Because creative differences. Yeah. She was pretty good, though, at guitar. She played a lot more classic rock kind of stuff, though.
Oh.
Was she into loudness?
I wish. Her mom made killer egg rolls, though. I remember that. Like, her mom, broken English, so you knew it was, real good.
Yeah.
But after that, I found a different lead guitar player at a different Ex Mortis show. That was the one opening for Venom Inc. And turns out he's known my since they were kids. And he's really fucking good. And that's who's in my band currently. And then I found my last guitar player at the Bad Religion show July 2nd. And he's more of a punk player.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Composition A.
No.
About it, but yeah, kind of.
I'm very old. I don't know anything. What I do know is he's got the worst connection ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go. Hey. Oh. Just take it off the video. Now I'm going to have to edit this.
How far did I cut out?
I don't know. I wasn't listening to you. Start over. No. No. Something about the something A band. Who was
Composition A.
Composition
Yeah.
A. Yes.
That was my
Constipation
that's my
A.
other guitar players. Composition A. That's his other band. And they're more like a long, ironically long drawn out melodic punk band, sort of like the Decline.
Wait. Okay on the description, but let me stop you there for a second. It's your guitar player's other band, which is a local band, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm.
Then why did you ask Wayne and act surprised that he had never heard of them?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm just saying.
It should be, really.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
No, I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Metallica before?
What?
Metallica? What is this you think you speak
There's
of?
there's a great joke the local rock station does. It's like, I don't know why 93X was playing so much Metallica. Clearly, White Lion is the future of rock.
All right,
It's like
back
supposed
to
to be
you.
a flashback to 1990 or something.
All right, back to you before I fire you again. Hurry up.
Who, me?
Oh, Nate. He's too busy eating his
Hurry.
fucking granola bar.
How can I hurry and make the internet better?
Just hurry up. Nobody cares anymore about you. You've ruined it now.
Then stop asking me about me.
What the hell's the name of your band?
My band's name is Major Malfunction.
That's funny. That's what you should name your Wi-Fi connection.
I know, right? It's directly stolen from Full Metal Jacket, but it's a great band name. We've got a killer logo, but showing it on my phone would probably be really bright, unless you really want to see it.
No, we can't see it because you.
It
turned the
does
video-
look cool, though.
Well, I mean, once I turn it back on.
Don't turn it back on, please. And what do you do in the band? You're the vocalist, right?
I am the vocalist, but I help write rhythm guitar parts because I can play thrash rhythm guitar.
Great.
And Greg has heard some of our stuff.
Yeah, you should have let me hear it too, but obviously you don't want me to.
It's not online yet.
I don't care.
I'm not flying out there.
You put it. Whatever. I'm not arguing with you. All right.
Vocals aren't tracked yet.
We've already had this conversation before.
I know. Not in front of people though. I'm trying to help him out.
It'll be all right. We'll definitely be playing shows by
Fair
around
enough.
March, April next year.
All right, good. Sounds great. On that note, we have an interview with Prophet. Who's whistling now?
It's the door hinge.
Someone thinks you're pretty sexy, Wayne.
That's what I thought. I was like, hey. We have interview with Prophet from Saint Madness. This will be part 1 because we actually talked to him for quite a while. It was a very good interview, though. He was a very cool guy.
Yeah,
So
talked about a lot of shit.
Yeah,
It's actually really cool.
yeah, very cool. So,
Like- He does corpse paint pretty tastefully.
whatever he just said, I don't know. These young kids.
He said he does his face paint, corpse paint, very tastefully. It's well done.
Yes. Yes.
Like, it's not like ridiculous like what Abbott does, you know?
Right. Yeah. No. Well, it's different. Different music. Anyway, he's not wearing face paint.
I feel like all black metal is partially tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Or if you're completely
Oh, that's
serious,
what I
you're
love
just a
about
complete
Carrick
asshole.
Angren.
Right.
That's what I love about Carrick Angren. Like that Adult Swim video where they play in front of the aquarium.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Anyway, so here is our interview with Prophet, part 1, and we will see you guys later.
Later.
Later!
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Nate. Welcome to Rat Salad Review. Today we are here with Prophet from the band Saint Madness. And what's going on?
How's
Now-
it going?
Good. Now, I never heard of your band ever until I talked to Matt Schaffer from the Hameen Media Group, and he was telling me all about you guys and how he used to, I guess, be your merch guy.
Well, Matthew's a great guy, man. I mean, he didn't only do merch, but he helped with gear, and he'd paint his face because we're a theatrical band where we paint our faces. So,
Right.
you know, he's just the coolest guy ever. He grew up with my son Joshua, and I believe they went to high school together, and that's how we met Matthew.
Oh, real cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we were sponsors for his the Hameen Media Group that he belongs with, and he was telling me all about you guys. So I said, we have to get you guys on the show at some point. So glad to have you on.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and I listened to both of the albums that you sent me. We all did. We all listened to them.
Yep.
And yeah, it's really cool stuff. I'm gonna have to go seek out the rest of your albums because I really like these. These two. The one's the best of, right? Carnival, I think it's called, right?
Carnival?
Yeah.
Metal means carnival people who play metal. Carnival.
Okay. Oh, Carnival. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And that's the best stuff. And that goes all the way back to the very beginning of the band. And the band started in 1993 under the name Crown of Thorns.
Right.
And we were Crown of Thorns, and we had actually put out 2 albums. And then we found out in 1997 that there was a Christian rock band in New Jersey that actually had trademarked the name in 1991. That was when we started using it. So we knew that we couldn't go to court with them over the name. And the album we had out at the time was called The Spiritual Visions of Saint Madness. So Margie, our manager, and I got an entertainment attorney, and we did a worldwide search to see if anybody owned the name Saint Madness, and nobody did. So we trademarked the name on the spot in 1997.
Kind of reminds me of Testament.
Huh?
Kind of reminds me of what happened to Testament when they had to switch from Legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, it's a funny thing because most bands don't bother to trademark their band name.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we did. I mean, it costs thousands of dollars. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
But once you do that, at least you own it, and you have something to stand on if you have to go to court and fight for it. But yeah, I was in a band for about 3.5 years that I co-founded with Wiley Arnett from Sacred Reich. In July of 2000, we co-founded a band called The Human Condition, and we put out an EP, and I was with them for about 3.5 years. Well, we also found out that there's a bunch of human conditions out there.
Right.
So then that's exactly why we trademarked the name Saint Madness, because I did not want to go through that again.
Right. Yeah. How'd you get hooked up with him?
Well, basically, I've been playing the Arizona metal scene since 1986, and Sacred Reich got signed in '87. I basically watched their whole career, and Wiley's a good friend. Greg Hall's a good friend. Of course, they have Dave McClain now, but I know some of the guys in Flotsam, like I know AK, and because we've all been here a long time, and we've all watched each other's careers over the years. So
Yeah.
Wiley's a great guy. I mean, it was a complete honor to work with him.
Oh, real cool.
You guys have a killer scene.
I'm sorry?
You guys have a killer scene. I mean, I've seen Flotsam and Sacred Reich, and they've both put on a hell of a show. I mean, I'd kill to see Atrophy, but I doubt that's never going to happen up here.
No, both those bands really kick ass, you're right. And basically in 2000, I thought I was putting Saint Madness to bed because I had approached Wiley because I needed a guitar player in Saint Madness, and Sacred Reich had broken up at that time. And so I didn't even realize it, but he lived literally across the street from me. I had no idea he was that close. But
Oh, wow.
when I said, hey, would you be interested in working with my band, Saint Madness? So when I found out his address, I'm like, oh my God, you're just across the street. So I ran over there and I gave him 4 CDs, and he took them for about a week. And then he called me after that and he said, Pat, I really, really like your voice and I like the music a lot, but I'm not a face paint guy. I'm really a jeans and a t-shirt kind of guy, and that doesn't work for me. But would you and your bass player consider putting something together with me on the side? And in Saint Madness, we have a deal with each other that we don't play in other bands while we're in Saint Madness, and that's an agreement that I ask people to make when they join the band. So basically, Randy Axe, our bass player, and I put Saint Madness on hold at that time, and we thought it was finished, so we put together The Human Condition. Well, I did the same thing back then that I had sent you, only we had an earlier best of called We Make Evil Fun, and I put that out in 2003, and I figured that was the end of the band. Well, when we sent it out all over the world, we started getting a lot of really good reviews on that record. And so I could see that Saint Madness wasn't completely done yet. And to be honest with you, after 3.5 years, I started missing being Prophet and wearing face paint and doing, I told Wiley like this when I left the band. I said, Wiley, having me in the band is like having Alice Cooper trying to fit in the band. And I loved all the music. But I'm a theatrical guy. I like the theatrics, and I like painting my face, and I like all that. So I stepped out. And, things turned out really good because a few years later, AK from Flotsam joined The Human Condition and became their singer when I went back to that. So it all worked out in the end.
Yeah. Are they still around? Because I don't recognize the name.
The Human Condition, I don't know, because Flotsam got busy again and put out a new record, and Sacred, as you know, just put out another record.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They might get back together at some point, but right now they're both busy in their collective, first bands.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Alice Cooper, because I was going to say that's the one thing I enjoyed the most, actually, was your vocals and Prophet, because it's great. You relish in the character, and that, like Alice Cooper would, and I really enjoyed that.
I do. I really enjoy it, and I'll put it this way, and this is probably the simplest way to understand it. When I was a young man and I got in heavy metal, I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to get rich and famous, and I wanted the bitches, and I wanted the parties, and I wanted everything. As I've gotten older, I realized that I just love being an entertainer. And an entertainer isn't necessarily a rock star. An entertainer is just someone who loves performing and making people happy. Right. And so every time I step on stage, I consider it a sacred place. And I consider it an honor to be an entertainer. When I look in the audience and I see a lot of happy faces, I'm honored by that. I mean, I get to be the one on stage doing that, and I never, ever take that lightly.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
How did the face paint come to be?
That's a great question. So that happened in 1995. And if you'll remember, in the early 90s in America, metal kind of started dying off. Yeah. And alternative music got really popular. And the funny thing about all that is when Nirvana and Soundgarden and bands like that came out, Alice in Chains, they were all put in the metal section. And then all of a sudden, no, we're not metal, we're grunge. Yeah. So they changed it. And what happened here in Arizona was a lot of people that were in metal bands suddenly were in alternative bands, and they were wearing flannels and they were doing this and that. And it pissed me off. And one day Marge and I were out at some store, and I said, Marge, next show, I'm going to paint my face. I don't care if the band does it, but I've got to do something different, because I'm just pissed off. And I like alternative music, but I didn't want it to destroy metal. Right. And at that time, they were even making fun of you if you were in a metal band. You were considered weak or whatever, and it was a bunch of put downs. So I said, I want to go theatrical and heavier. I want to be a stick out like a sore thumb. So I went to the band and I said, next show I'm going to paint my face. I said, I don't care what you guys do, but I just feel like I got to do something different. And our bass player at the time, Randy Axe, said, well, if you're going to do it, we better do it or we'll look stupid. So all of a sudden, we instantly turned from a regular kind of band for the most part to this big theatrical production, and I'm spitting blood on stage. And at one point I had fire coming out of my hands, and we purposely made our music heavier and heavier and heavier. And oddly enough, the 90s from then on were very good to us, really? and we're watching most of the metal dying off, but yet we were playing, for a local band in Arizona, when we put out the Spiritual Visions of Saint Madness in 1997, 700 people came to that show. Wow. And that was just a local band, Now, your national act, that's not so much. But when you're just an underground band and you put out a local CD, to have 700 people show up, that's amazing.
Right.
So we really had a good time in the 90s.
Wow. Well, you're lucky. One of the few bands that did, I guess, really. Metal bands, anyway.
And we ended up playing 2 Milwaukee Metal Fests. We played the one in 98 and the one in 99. And that's where you had literally 100 bands from all over the world would convene on one location, and they had 4 stages. And of that 100 bands, 90 of them were black and death metal. Now, from our music, we're neither of those.
Yeah, no.
Walking in there, we were wondering, how are people going to receive us? But oddly enough, they couldn't have been nicer. And both times we played there, we just had an absolute great time.
Well, that's good. At least that's something to break up, because you can only listen to black metal and death metal so long. I don't know about these two, but...
Right. I mean, you can only listen to any music so long, after a while.
Yeah.
I think, I went into it with the attitude of, it doesn't matter what genre metal you're in. We're all a family, and it's all the heavy metal family. And, I approached it that way from the stage. And like I said, people couldn't have been nicer. In fact, we parked our bus right next to 6 Feet Under. And there were so many great bands on especially the 98 lineup. Lamb of God was on that one, only they were called Burn the Priest.
Okay. Yep. That sounds familiar.
The Merciful Fate was on it, and Mortician, and Emperor, Sodom, Dying Fetus.
Oh, Sodom?
With Death. I mean, it was incredible.
Wow, that's a cool show.
Yeah.
I was Merciful Fate because we're doing a King Diamond Merciful Fate type show. How did they did you get to talk to or talk to King or anybody?
No. We opened for him when King Diamond came here with the solo band of Phoenix. We actually opened for him in 1998 at a place called the Mason Jar, which in Arizona, that was our Whiskey A Go-Go back then. It's a different club now, but for about 20 years, it was called the Mason Jar. And we were not direct support. We were second band in of 4 opening for King Diamond. And he walked right by me and looked at me, and I'm painted and covered in blood, and he's painted. He just kind of looked at me, and then he walked by and he went right on stage. But yeah, and it was an honor to be on the same stage with him.
Yeah, you're a fan of his stuff.
Oh yeah, and King Diamond helped me as a vocalist because before I really got heavy into him, I sounded a lot like David Lee Roth from Van Halen, and back in the 80s, if you sounded like David Lee Roth, that was really cool. But in the early 90s, if you sounded like David Lee Roth, it wasn't so cool. And almost every review we were getting back then, they would say, hey, the music's great, and the singer sounds like David Lee Roth. And I thought, well, I got to do something. So I started listening to King Diamond, and he's kind of vocally schizophrenic. Like, he can be different people with his voice. Yeah. And I found that fascinating. So I thought, I want to try to work with my voice to see if I can use different voices on different songs and, do something like that. And so from listening to him is why I sing the way I do now.
Oh, really cool.
And it's nothing like, right?
Oh, so, no. You can't do those screams?
I want to try to expand myself vocally.
Yeah. No, I love the way your vocals are. They're really cool. It fits with the music and everything. I really like it and enjoy it.
Yeah, the vocals are really expressive. I always thought that was interesting.
I sing from the heart, and when we get a new player in the band, I tell them, believe what you're playing, live it. If you're playing something that's really heavy and angry, find something inside yourself that makes you really fucking angry, because it makes the music more authentic. And to the people who listen to it, or the people in the audience, if you're playing this really angry song and you're standing there with a straight face looking at your shoes, it doesn't come across the same way as if you almost live that song while you're playing it.
Yeah, so exactly.
Sing a song about murder, I said, think about fucking murder, or if you're a sad song or a funny song, but be real when you're playing, feel what you're playing and live it.
Yeah, exactly. Nate, I don't want to. You haven't asked any questions yet, so I don't want to jump over you. If you want to ask anything, Nate.
Oh, I mean, I don't know what questions I would have exactly.
I put him on the spot now. he's a new guy. He just started last week, so he's learning yet.
If you're gonna ask me if I like to smoke good pot, yes, yes.
Well, we already have one thing in common then.
Right. I don't drink. I gave up alcohol, and back in the 80s, I was a bit of a meth and cocaine addict and a drunk. And so in 1990, March 30th of 1990, is the last time I actually drank a real beer. And now I just got a sign that said connection was lost, but then it came back. I don't know. But I gave up drinking and cocaine and crystal meth, and the only thing I've done since 1990 is smoke pot and cigars.
Hey, I can't knock you for that. That sounds like a great life.
You know what? It saved my life. And I'm about 6 foot tall, and I was 129 pounds when I got clean. And Whoa. I'm now, so I'm much more healthy now. And I was literally dying, and I didn't really see it, but everybody around me saw it. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to get away, because since then I've known many people hooked on meth and drinking, and they can't stop, you know. And luckily I got to get away, and I got to be with my family and to actually be there for them.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. Not too many people can do that, so.
And I'm not anti-alcohol, because as a vocalist, my job is to sell alcohol. When I play shows, I mean, if people don't drink in these venues, the venues close. So, you know, again, I have no problem with other people drinking. I just don't drink myself.
Is that hard to stay away from it, though, from being around it so much?
It is not. In fact, over the years, I've seen so many people tear their lives up that it just reaffirmed why I stopped. And luckily, you know, my girl is sober too. She's been sober 25 years, almost 26. So neither one of us drink, but we smoke a little pot and make heavy metal music, and that's what we enjoy.
Now, is she in the band too at all, or no?
She manages the band. Margie, our manager, is my girl. So, and she's managed the band since 1995.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Nice. So I noticed that you had a lot of.
But I don't know if she'll get on camera. She's sitting right here.
Oh.
She's giving me those looks.
All you gotta do is just turn the phone around.
Yeah. And then you'll see her chasing me down the street.
Now I noticed that you've had a lot of people coming in and out of the band.
Correct.
Any reason for that?
Well, the band's been around 26 years, and if you've been in bands, you know that most of them last under 5 years, 5 years or under. And it's really nobody's fault, because if you look at it, how many people has Dave Mustaine gone through? How many people have Kiss gone through? So it's not about money or success. Some of the biggest, most successful bands in the world have gone through lots of members. And for whatever reason, because you work closely with people, after a while you start getting on each other's nerves, or maybe a member decided they wanted to play a different style of music, or their wife made them quit playing, or I've heard it all over the years, and one thing I will never do is, whether someone quit or I fired them, I will never go public and talk shit about them and stuff like that. We saw what happened in Pantera. When you do stuff like that, when you bring your band fights public, horrible things can happen, because there's a lot of crazy people out there who feel they have to do things. And I saw it happen with Van Halen. Remember when they first broke up, David Lee Roth and the band hated each other for years. And I have more respect for the people who like my band than to drag them through that.
God forbid they ever want to come back or anything,
Well, that's right. And see, if you're having a really bad band fight, you don't have to break up. Just take a break. And then, see, bands make a mistake because they go, okay, we're done. And then 2 years later, hey, we're back. But if you just say, look, there's stuff going on in the band, so we're all going to go do our own thing for a while, and we'll be back when we're back, and then you just come back. Huh?
I heard a rumor that Motley might be back again.
I read that too, and I would be surprised, because there's still a lot of money to be made, and I'm sure they miss it. We're all like prize fighters, and you get addicted to the adrenaline of the fight, and then when you have to retire, you're like, man, I don't want to retire. I think I still got some good fighting left in me. And bands are the same way. We get addicted to performing in front of a live audience, and it's really difficult to walk away from that.
Yeah, but seeing Vince Neil perform nowadays is just...
Oh, well, he's still a prize fighter. It's just competitive eating now.
Right. Well, what I thought would be funny, do you guys remember the old Celebrity Death Match?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so wouldn't it be funny to have big, out-of-shape Vince Neil fight big, out-of-shape Axl Rose?
Yes, it would.
Axl Rose would win. He's got the mustache and the bandana. He's like you. He's got the whole machete thing going.
Yeah. you also to be able to laugh at yourself and not take everything so god dang seriously. And, you got to have thick skin to be in music because, like, I'll work really hard to make the best album I can, and I'll be really proud of it, and I'll send it out, and then some guy in a magazine will say, "This is the biggest piece of shit I've ever heard in my life." And you have to, like, let it roll off you because, first of all, that's just one person's opinion, but when I was younger, I used to get really hurt by that stuff. And but what I do now is if we get a bad review, I write the person and I say, thank you very much for giving us the press. I was hoping you'd like the record, but I recognize there's different music out there for everybody. But I still want to thank you for giving us the time and the press. And, more times than not, it'll turn the person around and they'll be like, wow, most bands, when I give them a bad review, they write, fuck you, and they get mad. And then I want to write more bad reviews about them because it's funny.
Yeah.
And so I just don't do that. I try to conduct myself as a professional. And, and I hope that maybe in the future they'll give it another listen and maybe they'll like it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But there's no sense in writing a person and saying, go kill yourself because you don't like my album.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we haven't had any of that yet for the show. One day it's going to happen.
Never talk about yes, so I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty famous for not liking a lot of stuff, but I realize a lot of hard work and whatnot. And, it's your art. You put your love into it. So just try to make it constructive,
Right. And that's why I use a co-producer on every one of our albums. I use, for most of the albums, I use Larry Elia, who owns Mind's Eye Digital Studio here in Phoenix, because he's an ear that's not in the band, so he's not emotionally wrapped up in the songs like we are as songwriters. And so he'll tell me, if something kind of sounds shitty, he'll be like, hey man, I don't think that sounds good, and I listen to him. I trust Larry.
What the hell was that? Let's see. I was listening to Blood and Escapades, and the song "Made in China."
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It's a cool song, and you got one line in there, something like, "Oh crap! I meant to write this down earlier and I forgot." But something that saying that you're not racist against Chinese people, something like that. I can't remember. The line.
I'm basically saying that I'm not against China.
Right? Did you feel like you had to say that though, because the way you were writing the song was going, people could think that you're, against Chinese people. Did you feel like, because the way people are now, do you feel like you had to write that?
I don't know if I thought people would think that or not. I just felt like I needed to say that this isn't about the people who live in China. But what drove me to write this song, and I wrote the lyrics back when President Obama was still in office. I know Trump is the voice in the beginning, but I actually wrote it a few years ago. And the thing that made me write it was when I would go into a store, I would literally pick up any item and turn it over, and they all said made in China. Mm-hmm. And after a while, and I'd travel a lot, and I would go to different parts of the country and in stores, and I'd pick things up and it'd say made in China. And then I started hearing from my friends in Brazil that the exact same thing is down there. Everything they sell is made in China. Wow. And I thought, that's not right. America has people that need jobs and they need things. And why is everything we're buying made in China? Yeah. And so it frustrated me, and that's why I wrote the song.
Yeah, I like that song. It's pretty cool. And then when I heard the Trump stuff, I'm like, oh man, these guys are gonna get shit for the Trump thing.
Yeah, and you know what? We really haven't.
Really?
I haven't got anything. I might now, but I haven't got any yet. And it's a really entertaining song. We try to give it a little bit of a punk rock feel. I like a lot of variety on our albums. You'll see there's a lot of different kind of emotions and colors in our albums.
Yeah, that's what I noticed on this album.
Huh?
That's what I noticed on the Blood Escapades album. You got like a rockabilly song that's Folsom Prison Blues. It's kind of like that rockabilly feel to it. And then you did the cover of I'm trying to look as I'm doing this here.
And I'll Fall in Love with You.
Yes, you did that cover and did that like in a punk style.
And see, Elvis Presley is the reason I became a vocalist to begin with. I was a sports guy. I had played soccer for many years. I lived in Holland as a boy. And I was on the track team in high school and the tennis team, and I played football in junior high and baseball, but I played soccer for many, many years. And my dream was to become a soccer player. And then Elvis died. And the day he died, I was in a pool with my friend at my friend's house, and his mom came out and said, "Guess who died today?" And I said, "Who?" And she said, "Elvis Presley." And I said, "Who cared about him anyway?" I liked his music. But I was young. I was 15. I didn't really know all that much about it.
Nah.
And then I started watching all the news footage on TV. And when that man died, it's like the world literally stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, he was that important that when he died, everything stopped. And I thought, maybe I shouldn't have said what I said. Maybe I need to look into this guy a little more. So I started reading up on him and reading books and magazines. And then I started buying his albums. And I'd go home after school and sing to his records. And I was part of the choir at Altaloma High School where I went in California. And one of the guys told the choir director, "You need to listen to Pat sing because he sounds like Elvis." So in the middle of the class, I had never sang in front of anybody in my life other than my bedroom. And he called me down to the front and he said, "Do you know Blue Christmas?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm going to play it. Start singing." So I sang a couple lines and he stopped and he said, "See me after class." And my choir director really didn't like me at all. He called me Homer. He never would call me by my name. And all of a sudden he's calling me Pat. And he said, you know, Pat, you really sound like Elvis. Would you ever consider dressing up like him? We got a Christmas concert coming. And would you sing Blue Christmas? I'll get one of the girls to sing it with you and we'll see what happens. But if people like that, we have a spring concert coming up and maybe you could dress up as Elvis and I'll have some of the girls from the choir go crazy and dance and we can make a whole show of it. And so I thought, I've got nothing to lose. I've never done this before, but I'll give it a shot. And the first night when I sang Blue Christmas, I was signing autographs. And I thought, this is easy. And all of a sudden I'm singing and all of a sudden I'm getting laid. And I thought, all those years in soccer never got me laid. I think I'm going to start singing. So that's how it literally happened. And then a couple of years later, I went from Elvis music right into metal. And I don't know how that happened. I think I like the aggressive music and the loud, the powerful melodies and everything. So I went straight into heavy metal.
Oh, wow. I
But
think
Elvis
Nate froze, by the way.
Huh?
I hope Nate froze, either that or he's just zoned out. I don't know what the hell happened to him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he froze. He's not
I
moving.
hope so. Yeah, I hope so. All right, whatever, Nate.
Are you there, Nate?
Yeah, that's good enough. So, what's the band that got you into heavy metal?
Huh?
What's the band that got you into heavy metal?
It probably started with Black Sabbath, and they actually scared me a little bit because they scared everybody, and I found that fascinating, and I kind of liked that, And I went from that to Kiss and Ted Nugent, and I know Kiss, I wouldn't really call Kiss metal, but they were heavier than a lot of the bands out there.
Yeah.
And then when thrash metal came, that thrash metal is my favorite form of metal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the old Metallica and Slayer and stuff like that.
What's your favorite thrash band?
Now you and I could be friends. We're all good here.
Oh, you're alive.
Yeah.
You're frozen on the screen, so we don't really
Return
see you.
of the Living Dead.
I am.
My favorite thrash band is probably Megadeth, and I like Metallica a lot, but I really only like the first 4 albums. I mean, there's other stuff on other albums that I like, but I think the first 4 albums are classics, and that's what I keep going back to with Metallica. But with Megadeth, he's got many albums that I think sound good, and he stayed with the thrash, much longer than they did, and I like that. But I love Slayer. Who doesn't love Slayer if you like thrash metal?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, once you think about it, though, Rust in Peace isn't overall all that thrashy. Like, especially with the drumming.
Yeah.
The drumming's not very quick. Like, it's about the same amount of thrash on it, I think, as the Black Album sometimes. Because Black Album's got, like, Through the Never and quick songs like that.
Yeah. Well,
See,
the only-
when
that
Dave
record. Oh, sorry.
What are you smoking over there, Nate?
Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't think Rust in Peace is all that thrashy.
See, but
It's like-
back in the day, back in 1991, it was considered pretty thrash. You know,
I don't know. I
Lots-
even think Painkiller is thrashier than it.
Painkiller was. I mean, when Rob Priest right after that album, I thought, no, man, what are you doing? I mean, when Bruce walked away from Iron Maiden, I understood because Fear of the Dark, like for me, I like the song Fear of the Dark, but I really don't care much for the record. And then they had the other one that came after that.
X
No,
Factor.
11.
Nine
Or
or
no,
something.
X Factor.
X Factor.
No,
X
X
Factor,
Factor
then-
with Blaze Bailey. That was after Bruce left.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was one there called No Prayer for the Dying.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
the
the
first
first one, and then Fear of the Dark. Yeah.
Another album where I thought it was kind of iffy, and I could kind of see why Bruce left. But when Priest put out Painkiller and then Rob left, I thought, man, what are you doing? But what happened was Rob, I guess, had met with Pantera, and he liked their heaviness because they were even heavier than Priest, and he wanted to keep going heavier and heavier. And from what I read, the other guys in Priest said, no, we kind of want to stay what we are. So he left and started Fight. And then they got Ripper Owens in, and what did they do? They immediately went heavier, kind of like what Rob wanted.
Oh yeah, Chugulator's awesome.
You
That's
know
like
what
the
I
most
mean?
underrated
and
Priest
that's
album.
what Rob wanted. He wanted to go heavier. So,
Right.
you know, I
And
don't
then he
know.
didn't with Fight.
Then he
Fight
didn't.
is
Then he
heavier.
did too. I know. And a funny story. In January of 1997, we were called by the owner of the Mason Jar. His name was Franco. Everybody knows Franco here. And he said, because we were a weekend headliner already at that point, and he said, listen, my band on Monday canceled on me. Is there any way you would do me a favor and just show up and play? And so we thought about it, and we said, yeah, of course we'll do it. So we showed up and we did our show on Monday, and we even made a joke. We said, since it's a Monday, we're going to wear the least amount of face paint, possible. So we just put a little on. We played the show. There's 30 people in the whole club, and not much going on. But after we play, I was sitting on a bench and I'm covered in blood, and I think I was smoking a cigar. And Marge comes running up to me and she's like, Franco's talking to a man who really wants to talk to you, and you got to come with me right now. And I thought, what? There's like 30 people in this whole place. So I start walking towards the bar, and Franco cuts me off, and he goes, listen, dude, this guy here is real, and he wants to do something good for you. And I'm like, what? So I walk over there, and I shake this guy's hand, and he goes, hi, I'm John Baxter.
And we're back.
Barbershop
And
show. We're back. We're back.
We are
we're
back. All right, thank you very much for Prophet for coming on the show. That was part 1. Check it out next week. We will have part 2 with Prophet from Satan Madness. I would just like to thank real quick Lou Mavs and the great Harry Barnett for being on our network. And I would like to thank you for watching our show and for subscribing to us on YouTube. Because I notice we have a lot of new subscribers. I'm not going to go through them now, but you know who you are. And thank you guys very much. And Nate is back again. Thank you, Nate. Welcome back.
First segment.
And also, I have started the Timo Talkie podcast that is on every week. I started this past Sunday, so the first episode is up. And this coming Friday, what is it, November 15th, I believe?
Yes, the
Yes,
15th.
it'll be the
on the 16th.
Good.
That'll be a fun story for next week.
That's right. Don't forget about it. Let us know what happened. But that'll be the first episode of
notes
our
of the
King
show.
Diamond. Yeah, keep talking over me while I'm talking. God. That'll be the first episode of our King Diamond podcast. This broadcast belongs to them. And
That's
Ib
right.
Edmark, that's right. And Ib Edmark will be our first guest. And there's a 3-part series with him. And then we will carry on from there with Michael Dinner, Pete Black, and Snowy Shaw, David Harbour, and some other guests thrown in between at some point.
And now, for more news on the King Diamond Show, we go live to a midget in a bikini.
Hey guys, certified.
Well, that's to give you a space to put in the midget in a bikini later. Yeah. Oh, there he is.
I'm
gonna
only
put
a
it-
midget in a bikini impersonator.
So
Brian,
you
not a midget.
you
Not a
identify
bikini.
as a midget in a bikini?
Most I can pull is this right here. Just
Please don't ever do that again. That is most of everyone.
That's pretty funny.
I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man.
Oh, Wayne's
They
thrilled he
summoned
finally
Hubble,
has
pushed
someone
by
he can listen
Sapphire.
to his Shania Twain albums with.
Based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire.
Man, I bet you feel like a
Damn,
woman.
don't you feel like a woman?
On that note, see you guys next week. Toodaloo. Cheerio. Bye-bye. Why? He's got to be frozen like that. Unbelievable. Oh, boy. If you guys don't watch this on YouTube, you're missing out.
Yeah.
See ya.
That's Nate doing our upcoming
Oh,
ad
boy.
for Turbulent Juice.
It was like racially turbulent.
Yeah. Too funny. All right. See you guys later. Bye.